Remember the last one?
I love this gavel. Everyone pays attention to it. Never happens at home.
I'll take one for the fire. You
That's pretty cool.
Oh, question. We're set. We're going.
Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. This is our regular session of our February 10th, 2005 meeting. Pledge of Allegiance. Could I ask Tracy Watts to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? We're smiling back there.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. We've all looked at the agenda. Do I hear any changes, amendments, additions to the agenda? If not, the agenda is adopted as presented. The next item on the agenda are commendations. Student commendations, should we start with the middle school?
Carson's not here.
Not right?
Carson's not here.
All right, then we will start with the elementary school.
Miss Book is ill tonight and recovering, so we're going to invite up some great students and give us a chance to celebrate them. But let me start first with our kinder through second grade student of the month, Evelina Vasquez Espinosa. All right, let's say a few things about Evelina from her teachers. Mrs. Delbridge says, Evelina is a dedicated and hardworking student with a strong passion for learning. Her positive personality and willingness to assist both her peers and teacher have made her a valuable asset to the classroom. She has demonstrated growth in her consistent effort and commitment to her education is great, and her joy of learning. Love to learn, huh? And Miss Dalton says, Evelina is an exceedingly kind student. She consistently shows awareness and care to her classmates. She also follows directions carefully and faces the challenges with much perseverance. Good job. Congratulations. All right, and our third, fourth, and fifth grade student of the month just happens to be a veteran of our school and on our leadership, Sammy Hartley. Sammy's also a leader in our leadership class. Just stand right here. Thank you. So Mr. Nunez says, I would like to nominate Sammy Hartley for the Student of the Month Award. Sammy is also in our dual language program, learning both languages and speaking pretty well with both of them. She is a very astute, diligent, and inquisitive student. She is always looking for ways to improve her Spanish language skills and ways to assist others. Sammy always contributes to the classroom success and in other students' learning. Sammy should be recognized at the board level for her classroom and school contributions and for her great potential as a student and a member of society. From Mr.
Thank you. We'll move on to the high school.
student of the month for the month of February, right? Yeah. Luke Baker. Come on down. All right. So underneath the facade of a mild-mannered sophomore, he is an uncaged animal in the weight room. Luke is a model student and young man. He is respectful, hardworking, and pleasant. He encourages others and helps when needed. Luke always takes the initiative to thank his coaches and teachers regularly. I enjoy teaching and coaching young men like Luke. Keep up the great work. And that was Mr. Long. Mr. Lamb says Luke is a very hard worker. He is kind and considerate to his classmates and is a class leader. He is an excellent choice for Student of the Month. And then finally, I've had the opportunity to work with Luke during the past 2 years as his vocational agriculture teacher and FFA advisor. Luke is a very intelligent person who has shown a great deal of direction and dedication to the activities which he has taken on during his time at Nissa High School. Luke has shown leadership by example as well as through being the top of his class. During this time, Luke has been punctual to meetings and attended numerous activities that help strengthen the unity of our chapter. He is often given jobs that are hard and monotonous, but he accepts the challenges and works independently to see that the task is completed to the best of his abilities. I have seen a great deal of maturity in Luke during the past year. He is starting to realize that it is time for him to make major decisions that will affect his future. I think he is prepared for the challenges that he will face in the coming years and look forward to seeing him develop into a fine young adult. And that was Mr. Kirkshaw. This one? Our volunteer?
Yeah. Our volunteer parent of the month is Dana Bounds. Please come on. Hey, if you guys don't know Dan, she also works at the elementary school as an instructional assistant, but we're honoring her as Parent of the Month. We got the following. It's our pleasure to recognize Dana Bounds as Parent of the Month for the Nissa School District. Dana has children in all 3 buildings in our school district. We'd like to thank both her and JD for their commitment to their children, our staff, and their activities. They're wonderful supporters of the kids and all the children of Nissa School District. We appreciate that Dana is an amazing role model for other parents, our staff, and our students. She wants all of our kids to have great experiences with their friends, their teammates, their teachers, their activity advisors, and their coaches. We appreciate that she always finds time to help support the Bulldogs in a wide range of activities, FFA, HOSA, student council, track, wrestling, youth athletics. I'm going to be honest, anybody that comes to volunteer to supervise or chaperone a dance, you win in my books. It's heartwarming to know that we can always partner with her to address any need that may arise. Dan is invested in success for children, but she's also willing to do the hard work to help improve the outcomes for all our students. Congratulations on the honor and thank you for just being such a great parent to your children and all the children in this school district. Thank you. We also have the pleasure to do our Employee of the Month, Mr. Josh DeAnda. Please come up. You guys don't know Mr. DeAnda, he's our Employee of the Month, but he's also our high school athletic director, and I got a couple things here because I had to write it down so I didn't forget. As high school athletic director, Josh works hard on one of the most thankless jobs in our school district. While it seems like anything associated with athletics should be fun and games, it's really a logistical nightmare of managing the multitude of ever-changing tasks and responsibilities. To complicate the situation further, it involves trusting and working with a wide range of organizations of people to complete your job. Many of these people are not people you know well and or interact with frequently, so you have to trust them the first time you talk to them. Josh has managed the integration of many new coaches into our programs. He's worked hard to ensure that all new coaches are supported, properly trained, and feel welcome as part of our team. For example, Josh must track all of our coaches paid and volunteer to make sure they completed all OSAA and district level certifications. In addition to coaching management, Josh has an incredibly demanding task of overseeing the scheduling of all our activities and associated event management. So for example, facility schedules, bus schedules, hotels, dismissal times, travel time, time zone changes, which you would think would be an easy thing, but it's not. Facility schedules, Meal money, concession boxes, admission boxes, scorekeeper, event setup, officials, social media, OSW reporting, and that's all just to have one activity at your place, right? So pretty crazy. These processes require incredible organization skills and coordination with lots of people to ensure that these needs are met, often juggling last minute changes for unforeseen challenges. Mr. Deanda has handled many of these situations behind the scenes, and he's helped ensure smooth event management for student athletes, coaches, and spectators from our school and our opponents. Through it all, Josh continues to manage his responsibilities with a positive attitude, a tireless work ethic, and an unwavering commitment to the success of our athletic department. His contributions make a difference in the lives of our students, our staff, and we're extremely grateful for all he does on behalf of all the people he assists. Congratulations, Mr. Deanda, for being named Employee of the Month. Thank you for all your hard work, and we're fortunate to have you as part of our team.
Josh, Susie and I would like to thank you for chauffeuring us on our road trip the other day. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yeah, I can take
Yes.
pictures.
Those who have received awards, if you would like to go out in the hallway, we will have pictures taken of you. And if you want to come back to our meeting, please feel free to. We love having an audience, but I recognize that some of us need to get home because we have school tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Okay, the next item on our agenda will be the do you want to wait till next time, or do you want to just go ahead and talk about it?
I'll wait until he shows up next time.
Okay. Okay. For the time being, we'll wait on our middle school student. Anyway, the next item on our agenda then would be the visiting patrons and delegations. First up, the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival trip.
Hi everyone, I'm Donovan Held. I am a third-year music teacher at NISA. Originally came in as a band teacher when we first started doing Lionel Hampton, and then the next year it went with another band teacher. This year we have Mr. Newby for the band, and this year we are hoping to not just take the band, but also to take our growing choir program to Lionel Hampton. This is an activity, it is the largest nationwide jazz festival in the country, nationwide. It started for Lionel Hampton, who was a famous vibraphone player and the first black man to be integrated into a jazz band with white people. So a very important figure in our history. We're super lucky that it's only a 5-hour drive from us. That's short for us. Anyways, this gives students an opportunity to go to one of the best music colleges in the United States, in my opinion, which is the University of Idaho. They get to interact with jazz musicians who are already working as musicians in their daily lives or instructors. They get to meet these people, learn from them personally, and attend as many workshops as they can possibly fit in a day. It's all their choice. I have with me 3 letters from students on why they want to go, because they've never been. These are choir students. And we also brought a student who's been twice, who is not just a band student, but also a choir student. So I'm going to hand those over to you guys. Newbie, do you have anything to add?
For the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival, I think it's important for our students to be able to have this experience to travel to the University of Idaho, just to be able to see the facilities there, the different educational values, being able to interact with colleagues, peers from different states, including Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, and being able to see the concerts that will be performed there as well, being able to see different states and different sorts of people being able to come together for a love of jazz.
Most notably about this trip is it is a 3-day, 2-night trip, and that is the biggest aspect of it. It's pretty pretty tough to manage all of that, but we're excited to, especially when we're taking kids with instruments so they can go to workshops. Tristan, would you like to come up and say a little about your experiences?
So, in my time when I went to Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival, I learned quite a few things. Most notable, in my opinion, being a saxophone workshop, which I play the saxophone, so it was helpful for me. But it was they had 5 separate people who all played saxophone, giving pointers and just showing how when you're in a quintet, which is 5 saxophones together, how to play, how to blend, how to do things like that. There was workshops on how to improve your practicing. So when you're on your own, you need to practice your music. They helped with that. They helped with other things, like how to play solos. And then at the very end, there was a large concert, which is about maybe 2 hours long, which you got to listen to different people, how they play, how they try to blend with others. You could just learn from the way that they played certain things about the music and how to get better.
Bill, did you want to come up and say anything about what you're hoping to learn at Lionel Hampton?
Being completely honest, I don't travel a lot, but I am very excited to have this new experience, to see the facilities over there and possibly learn some new stuff that I haven't been able to figure out in my short experience.
Bill is a senior this year, so it's a good chance to look at a new college for him. That's all we have to really say.
How many students are we looking at?
For the choir, we have 9 students, one of them being Tristan, who we're stealing from the band so they don't have to count him.
And for band, we have 13 students.
Are you in the band or the choir?
I'm in the choir and the band.
Oh, both.
He's not in the jazz band, which is why we keep calling Tristan band and him choir.
Plus, it's my first year in band, so.
I think it's quite remarkable that the Lionel Hampton Festival has been going on for so many years. And this is February, this is Black History Month, which is a nice thing to note at this time. So, do we have other questions or comments for our music leaders? I'm excited that the choirs.
I'm excited too. It's a unique experience to go stand on a corner and sing a cappella and annoy everyone. That's what you do when you go to a music college as a choir. You'll see a bunch of choirs doing it. It's really funny. You'll just see high schoolers mingling from kids they've never met from New York doing this. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, no, we're not.
Yeah.
We get one or okay. Because this is an overnight trip, the board needs to approve the trip. Sounds like a great trip. I wish I were going. Do I hear a motion on the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival trip for the choir and the band members?
I move that we approve their trip to University of Idaho to attend the Jazz Festival.
It's been moved by Dustin and seconded by Donnie, sorry Donnie, by Donnie to approve the trip to the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival in Moscow, Idaho. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. The motion carries. Have a great time.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing a short report from the kids on, I call them kids, students, on how the trip goes. The next on our agenda would be the HOSA trip.
I'm Tracy Watts. I'm one of the advisors for NISA HOSA, and Anu DeWitt is our current advisor. This is Maria Areola, and she is our current club president. She has been pretty amazing. You guys actually probably know her because she's been in here as student of the month a few times. But she's really been an amazing president this year, and we've accomplished a lot, and she has our report.
Okay, so I want to trace back to June of last year, and we were actually the 2024 International Chapter of the Year in working with the Red Cross, because we worked with Katie Adams, who is the local Red Cross representative for our area, and we put on like 3 blood drives, and we have another one planned in April, which I encourage you all to attend. I'll bring flyers over, and you guys will hear about it, so you guys will know the exact date and times for that. We also made a diversity video, which earned us 3rd place, and it was really fun to voice over and film it. And back in November, we had a border competition, and the Red Cross representative came in, and we had emergency preparedness events, so we got to practice CPR on mannequins. It was adult mannequins, baby mannequins, and it was a really cool experience. We also had some representatives from TVCC and Eastern Oregon University come in and talk to us about, you know, their allied health program, so I thought that was really cool. And tomorrow evening, we're going to work with Katie Adams to prepare some activities for the Family STEM Night over at the elementary school, so we're excited for that too. Katie Adams is going to attend the State Leadership Conference in Pocatello, and she's going to raise awareness about the Red Cross to other HOSA chapters, so they can start engaging in, like, with the Red Cross, how we're doing it. I think it's really cool if other people like learned about the Red Cross. Thanks to them, a lot of our members also have their CPR and first aid certification. And this school year, we have logged more than 1,000 hours as a chapter in community service with the Red Cross. So we hope to keep working with them and maybe get recognized on this coming year as another chapter of the year maybe. And back in November, we hosted our border competition, which was our largest like local competition. It had over 120 members from over 9 different schools. We had more than 50 adult volunteers and super like advisors help us out, and it was a really fun day. There was a lot of kids. We got to meet them, interact with them, kind of see what regionals and state would be like. And then in January, we hosted a skills clinic. So in HOSA, there's different competitions with different career options, and we actually had professionals from those careers come in and teach us. So I had a medical assistant come in and show me how to actually do my event and what they actually do. I know we had coroners from, I don't know, we had coroners come on in and show our forensics team some cool stuff. We had EMT specialists come in, respiratory therapy, sports medicine, nursing assisting, forensic investigation, and clinical lab science professionals come in, and it was a really cool experience. We got some amazing feedback. People felt more prepared for the regional events, so it's another thing we hope to put on next year. Moving on to regionals. This year regionals was at the Dennis Technical Career Education Center in Boise. There was over 600 members from the Treasure Valley area competing, and from there our 15 members, most of our 15 members placed in the top 10, and about half of those placed in the top 5. So we had good representation there. And in 3 weeks, on March 5th through 7th, we are hoping to attend the State Leadership Conference in Pocatello. It's a 3-day conference that ranges in competitions, workshops, and college and career fair, as well as other leadership activities for our members to attend. And it's just a fun learning experience for our members. And tonight we'd like to ask for permission state so we can qualify for internationals in Nashville this summer. So, would you guys like more information on the trip? We plan to leave on March 4th, which is a Tuesday after school, and drive on over to Pocatello, and then that way we can be well rested for the next 3 days of competition, and then we plan to come back Friday evening.
How many people are involved in it?
This year we have 36 members, and of those members, I'm sure maybe 20 are attending state.
We have 15 that are registered to go to state.
We're also working with Adrian and have some Adrian folks that are going to be attending as well.
Do we have other questions? Sounds like a good trip. I was able to attend your skills competition.
I was just gonna say, I wanted to
Yes, thank you.
thank everyone that has come to our events and supported us and showed up for the border competition and the daddy-daughter dance and all of the other things that have taken up our time. We really appreciate seeing you guys' faces at those things. It means a lot to us.
Can you tell us about your fundraiser? Do you guys have a fundraiser going on right now? Are you guys doing Valentine's Day fundraiser?
Well,
We kind of already had it. We had our daddy-daughter dance, but there's a lot of other clubs that have volunteer fundraisers.
so there are some current flower sales that are taking place that Nissa HOSA is sort of combining maybe with golf to assist. If anybody would like to purchase 300 flowers, we'd be happy to make you a deal.
You can send them with the choir for allograms. We'll deliver them for you.
Oh, okay, well, could be a 3 club thing
We'll
here.
help.
Oh,
you need my husband's
phone number?
I have it. I will send him a message.
How do I ask the superintendent to buy us flowers?
We have been working the kids have been working concessions, they've been selling raffle tickets, they've been
Yes.
selling brownies, they've been, the daddy-daughter dance was a huge one. We have some others coming up in the spring that we're kind of reserving for, funds if we get kids that qualify for nationals. There's just been a lot.
I hear you make some good brownies.
Amazing brownies. Yeah, they're very good.
You haven't heard of it.
I didn't make,
Advertise
okay,
your
I'm getting a hint.
We've, as a chapter, we've been very busy with lots of different activities. I think the biggest thing that is really felt this year is that there's a really well-roundedness of what's going on. I think last year we focused so much on fundraising. We did lots of little fundraising because we were trying so desperately to raise the money to be able to do things. And you guys have made, and the district has made such a huge difference with the support of helping us get to accomplish a lot of these things, that we've been able to focus a lot more on programming this year, which I think has made a lot more, the engagement from the kids, we're seeing a lot of improvement with that and just more kids wanting to be part of it. And our numbers are growing and it's exciting, and we've got the middle school kids engaged, and there's overlap between middle school and high school for certain things that are appropriate. And it's just been an amazing year so far. We're really happy. And you know, one of the great things is in the community when you say HOSA and you no longer get the what is that? People know what HOSA is, and that's exciting. That is really exciting. So thank you for everybody's support. We appreciate it.
Well, I will tell you, as a retired hospital person, I do really appreciate seeing everyone go into HOSA. So that's exciting. That's exciting. It's a wonderful career.
I make a motion that we approve this trip.
I second.
It's been moved by Susie and seconded by Maribel to approve this trip. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. Thank you.
Have fun. Good luck.
We hope to see you in April to get approval for the June. Thank you.
Okay, we will now, thank you very much. We'll now move on to Student representative, Katie?
Student council will not be participating in the golf choir Valley Grand Carnation thing. No way. But anyway, good evening everyone. Welcome to the short and sweet / condensed version of the Nissa High School report for the month. The first thing that we have going on that I thought I would report on is sports, of course. We've got girls and boys basketball going on as well as wrestling. I think the most notable thing that's happened this month was that the boys varsity basketball team beat Vail, and for the whole hometown rivalry thing that we've got going on, I thought that was awesome. Girls basketball is doing pretty well too. They play Burns, I think, on Thursday or Friday. I don't remember exactly which it is, but wishing them definitely luck on that one. And girls basketball has also had their senior night, and that was on Saturday. They were recognizing 3 seniors, and I believe did they win that game? They won the game, so that's great. Did they win? Okay. Apparently I'm not very good at keeping up with basketball, but wrestling also had their senior night this past week. That was on Thursday, and that was a duel against LeGrand, which was a huge improvement from what the score was last year. The duel was a horrendous loss last year, and still a loss, but less of a loss this year. So we've got the spirit of improvement going on there, and hopefully the same thing is going on with basketball. And then the last thing is FFA. There have been some kids who did their stage degree presentations as well as a couple other competitions. So I thought I'd give a shout out to the kids who have qualified for their state degree, which is Amity Hartley, Addison Monk, Ruth Romans, Brian Sanchez, and Abigail Schulteis. And it takes a lot of work to get your FFA state degree, so I thought they definitely deserved recognition pretty much anywhere they can get it. I think it's like 500 hours on that agricultural project, so huge congratulations to all of them. And then also there was the FBM competition, which is Farm Business Management. Nissa kind of has a history of being pretty good at that, and they took home 3rd at the regional competition this year, so they'll be moving on to state. Michael Korn, my brother, which is awesome, got 1st for sophomore public speaking at the district level as well, and the conduct of chapter meetings team got 2nd, so some very exciting things going on in FFA. And I think that's all I have for you. So, without further ado, you guys get on with the rest of your meeting. Thank you.
The next item is, do we have any public comment? So, since there's no public comment, we'll now move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Well, good evening, board members and community. Typically, we start my report with Mr. Murray doing a 1C update, and he is unavailable today, so I am going to give it, and it'll be a very brief one. I wanted to share that ODE has accepted and executed our proposal to repay the over-allocated funds by returning our unobligated grant funds, and that it was made official since last meeting. This will not impact any of our current or future services, as our budget already accounted for this adjustment. Additionally, our district's designation has been lowered from high risk to heightened risk, which we know that happened in September, reflecting our continued progress in compliance. And I just want to kind of put it out there that I know we've been waiting for this for a while, and just extremely happy when we received that in January, and so that is taken care of. So, I also want to provide updates on 2 key district goals: attendance and graduation rates. And if you know the official kind of graduation rates got released last week, and before that I think it was. Our current district-wide attendance rate is 93%, which is a breakdown of the following: elementaries at 93.9%, and middle schools at 91.95%, and high schools at 93.14%. Our goal for this year was 92%, and so we're on track to meet or exceed it. And what we say is, what we're doing in the classroom is valuable, and we need kids here to experience in that. And so our administrators and teachers and students have been working really, really hard to be here. So regarding our graduation rate, last year we reached 92, or last year was 92% compared to the state average of 81.8%, and the county average was 86.8%. This is a testament to the hard work of our students, staff, and community, and I discussed it with the high school, and right now we're projected to be at 94% for this year as well. So really, really good things. And so this further solidifying our district's commitment to student success. So it was a really good kind of a celebration for us, and we're going to continue that. And I think it was, and Mr. Jackman, you can remember this, it was 3 or 4 years ago we were in we're in the 80s, correct?
Yeah.
And so,
I did honor 80 year before I came.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we've come a long way and doing an amazing job. We're only getting better. So really wanted to highlight that. Finally, I wanted to address recent executive orders and their potential impact in our district. And I don't know if you guys are on, social media or watching the news. It seems like daily a new executive order that could affect Nissa School District. And so I wanted to take a moment to just address that with everybody. I want you to know that we understand that while these orders can create a lot of uncertainty in our community, we're actively working with our legal counsel, OSBA, COSA, and other organizations to ensure that we receive accurate and timely information. And that's important, accurate and timely, right? And so, but I do want to assure our community this ever-changing political landscape is that we're on it. And that's something that I think is huge, that they need to know that we are on it. Our administrators are paying attention. Our legal counsel is just, everybody's on it. And so I really wanted to say that, and that our core mission remains unchanged here in the school district. We are here to support, educate, and provide a safe learning environment for all students. That is our core mission. That's what we focus on. That's what we protect. And no matter the external challenges, we'll continue to prioritize student success, advocate for our schools, and make decisions to reflect the best interests for our community. Just as we have faced challenges before, we're going to work through these with transparency, resilience, and steadfast focus on our students. And I wanted to take a second to say that because I think that is really important. And a couple weeks ago we had an incident in town, which really, there's large upheaval in our town, right? And knowing that as a school district, that's what we remain committed to, and who we are and what we do is important. So there is no real big update with those, as we know, like even with Title IX, when we talk about the policies today, that even with the Title IX legislation, right, having to revert back and going back and forth, right, is that, as Mr. Martinson knows, is that when you kind of start getting the legal system involved, things are going to start taking time. And so I just want to let the board know and the community know is that we are on it. I have daily meetings with, like I said, our legal counsel, OSBA, and those people just to get those updates. And when those come out, I will share them with you guys. So, and that is it. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Ryan? Thank you, Ryan, for your reassuring message.
Thank you for getting us to that point on 1C issues.
I know. That's a huge celebration. It really is. So
I read that email and I thought that's really awesome.
yeah.
Good job on that.
That is a huge kind of landmark for our community, right? Like that's big kind of turning point. And so
It's taken a lot of work from a lot of people.
a lot more work to do, but I think that's like I said, that's big. So
Just not ever do it again.
yeah, absolutely. There was a small party going, woo, okay, now let's get back to work.
Right.
And, but no, I don't think people understand how big of a deal that is from what the team, the board, the community, to get to this point, what that really means. And so I appreciate you highlighting that, Mr. Martin, because it is huge. So thank you.
That being said, we will now move on to our financial report.
Good evening. I have a surprise for you guys. It's a budget calendar. So in July, I proposed a calendar for fiscal year 26. Asked you guys to look at it. I got tons of feedback. No, I didn't. Anyway, so today is the day I ask if you guys will adopt it for me so I can get things posted legally in the paper and wrap up the budget and then present it to you guys. So it was in your packet that I emailed to you. It's in your packet for tonight. And it's on consent agenda. So don't need a motion right now, but just thought I'd throw that curveball at you. As you guys know, I say the same thing every month. So tonight I present to you financials through January 31st of 2025. It is no surprise our state school fund payment has not been adjusted yet. We're hoping the month of March. So you're going to see a red number at our ending fund balance, and that's
going to continue until that payment gets adjusted. And then I'll be presenting better numbers. But no surprises for the month of January. We ran payroll. I think it was just one payroll this month too. No extra duties or anything. So we're sitting, I guess that I should say at the end of January, we lost $247,000. So our cumulative balance is about a little over 2.4. So we'll watch our pennies and we carry that balance through June to pay everything in June, as we don't receive the state school fund that month. State school fund payment. After the general fund operating statement, I provide you guys with our LGIP for the district account. You can see that balance at the end of January. Following that report, it's just the breakdown of the taxes that we received for the month. After that, I will summarize our middle school bond fund. Currently have a balance of a little over $361,000. Our next payment's coming up in June, and I think it's $390,000. So got some more taxes to collect to then pay that next debt service payment. After that, that just shows it's our LGIP statement for the middle school bond. So you can see where I got my numbers. Breakdown of taxes again after that. We discussed a little bit in work session about food service. So end of January, food service is $25,000 in the negative, but we're not surprised, we know, and we're expecting it, and it's budgeted in our budget. So after that, I have approval of the bills. Every bill that was paid from January 3rd to February 3rd. And after that is the January payroll report. So it was a good month, no surprises. And without further ado,
Wait a minute, Crystal.
let's continue
Does
on.
anyone have any questions?
Oh yeah, questions. Oh yeah. Does anyone have questions?
Really none of you did.
Are we good?
I think we'll get
Okay.
there you
Without
go.
further ado, I'm gonna go back to my seat. I forgot about the question part. That's right.
Thank you, Crystal.
You're
We'll
welcome.
now move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone have any changes or comments on the consent agenda? Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Susie and seconded by Jasmine to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Motion carries. We now move on to new business. We have a special district director election coming. Filing date, I believe the filing date opened today and will close on the 20th of March, and the election is May 8th, 15th? I'm not sure of the election day. And there are 5 board members here who are up for, I would like everyone to consider filing for re-election. I'm up for re-election, Susie is also, Dustin is, Jasmine is, and Megan Robbins is. And Megan is absent tonight, she's ill. So, thought I would just make that announcement. And I'm encouraging all current board members to please file for re-election. We have a very good board, and I would like to see it continue. The next item, unless there are any questions about that, the next item is policy JECB, interdistrict transfer request deadline.
Perfect. So the policy we're presenting there, so every year we do JECB, setting that interdistrict transfer numbers and the requirements of it. So that is the same. We have added in the virtual school dates on there as well. So there are 2 dates for the virtual school, which are different than the June 15th date that we usually set for our in-person interdistrict transfers. You'll see that on the bottom. They are August 5th and December 20th. We have 2 enrollment periods for that, so that's reflected on the policy on there. So what we're asking is you look that over and accept it so we can go forward and start communicating to all of our interdistrict transfers.
Ryan, do we have to do this annually, or once it's done in a year, are they in the school district until they graduate?
So we do it annually here. There are, you cannot revoke somebody's, like if I sign one for Adrian, we can't just revoke it. That is actually released for life, but our requirement is that they do it yearly. Our virtual school, we are going to go to more of a model is once you're released, you will continue to be released. And so, but yeah, so we ask all of our in-district people to definitely to do it every single year. One is communication and all of that. So.
Do we have other questions? So, and that is a motion item.
Yes, please.
Do I hear a motion then on policy JECB?
I'll make a motion to accept policy JECB as presented.
It's been moved by Donnie to accept that, that policy. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Been moved by Donnie and seconded by Dustin to accept policy JECB. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the list on our agenda is the school calendar. Superintendent Hawkins.
Thank you. So in your packet, there are 2 calendars here. The first calendar reflects, that looks almost identical to the calendar this year. The second one reflects a change that I am actually going to be recommending that the board look at and adopt and accept. On the second calendar, what we've seen is the data is showing us throughout the school year and last year that any time that the school district has a Friday, it is very poorly attended by staff and students, and our attendance rate, we said, hey, it's a highlight, we're at 93%, really doing really well. It drops in the 80%, it's even lower than that. And so, so the data is showing us that, from our community and our staff and those things, that it's just Friday doesn't work. And when we went from a 5-day calendar to a 4-day calendar, we really put that investment as every day is extremely important, right? We minimize the number of student days and staff days, and so we have to maximize the time we have. And so what I've done is every week that has a Friday, actually, we took that off and I put it into June, so we will be going into the first 4 days of June. An example would be, so next Monday we have President's Day, and so since we don't have school on Monday, we would have school on Friday. And so in the new proposed calendar, we wouldn't have school Monday or Friday. So there would be no Fridays for students. It would be very consistent for our community. And so we really can get more value out of every single day here at NISA. And so, so I am proposing that calendar. I have also presented this calendar to our admin group, and we discussed it, and we discussed about the value of it, and how can we keep learning at the forefront. I also presented it to the certified and classified unions as well, and didn't receive negative feedback to it, but also didn't receive like, this is the greatest idea ever. I mean, it was very neutral, just understanding, because this is a decision that we're based on data. and saying, this is what it's showing us. It wasn't one day in time, it is actually, over 2 years, it's pretty darn consistent. And so, that's what we're proposing there to get kids here more often. So, and if we did that, we look at our 93%, that's gonna be creeping up 94, 95% just by adding that in there. So, it will have a really, really huge impact on the learning of our students. And we also talk about learning loss. Going to that first week of June, as it sometimes feels abrupt, right? Just because it's like, it's June, it's not gonna disrupt summer school, it'll actually help us minimize our learning loss. So there are a lot of benefits to our students and staff on that as well. So.
I'd also like to comment that puts, going to school in June puts us a little bit more in line with what is happening on the other side of the state. And oftentimes, we do have tournaments and such that run into June. So, because we compete with the kids on the west side.
Graduation won't change, all of that. I mean, really the only thing we're doing is taking those days that are very, very poorly attended on those Fridays, 4 of them in a year, and putting them in June. So we didn't want to take time away from like Christmas break or anything, those other ones, so we just added those to the end of the calendar. Pretty simple move. So, same student days, same teacher amount days, all of that is the same.
And I will admit to you that I did talk to Ryan about potentially taking time off of those using some of those vacation days. And he was quite adamant about, that is not what the staff or the students would like. But I had to ask the question.
So, yeah, they want their 2 weeks for Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that, so we're not gonna touch that.
So, and the other emphasis is, this is a proposed calendar.
Yes.
For everyone listening, our current calendar, next week, we do have Friday class.
Yes, we do. Everybody, just so you know, we're going to be putting out forget, because I also know as well that sometimes kids work a system on that, right? Is like, oh no, you don't have school on Friday, and so everybody, and so knowing that happened, and so we will put out a reminder saying, don't forget, we do have Friday, we do have school this Friday. It is a required day for staff and students. So.
Does anyone else have any questions on the proposed calendar? And when will you bring this back to us for
I would like to have it adopted in March. Kind of give it a month, kind of present to everybody and so and look at. I mean, we can adopt now if you would like, but if you would, I'm totally okay as well if you want to take until March to do that. But like I said, the sooner we can get it, the better.
This will also give our patrons a chance to give you feedback.
Yes, exactly.
So, and that's important. So, we'll then move on. If there are no other questions on this potential school calendar, we will then move on to the Adrian Co-op.
Excellent. And so, as we talked about in our study session, we're renewing our co-op. Baseball, we did a co-op with Adrian last year, where we had a senior play, and we actually went on to pitch, right? So some college next year. But what we would like to do is renew that baseball co-op and actually add softball to that. And so we'd like to co-op with Adrian. They have 2 freshmen, both baseball and softball potential, correct, Mr. Deanda? Potential players.
The baseball kids are freshmen. The softball kids are at least sophomore or older.
Okay. And so both allowing them to compete and help strengthen our programs as well. And we had an extremely successful co-op last year with Adrian in the baseball. And so when they proposed it to Mr. Deanda, he was in favor. It's like, let's keep going. And like I said, it does give that opportunity for those athletes to compete. And I could say I remember my senior year, right? Baseball got cut for golf, which was pretty cool. But baseball was something that the only way we could compete is if we had an opportunity like this. And so I'm 100% in favor of both renewing and adding on baseball and softball to co-op with our team. So.
And expound on the fact that they will have a coach and the discipline.
Yeah, they provide a volunteer with it that actually will help supervise those students. We'll make sure that those students, they check their grades, they do all of those things. Those requirements will be met. They make sure that they get from Mrs. Adrian and that, and so they will provide that for both teams. So.
Do we have other questions on the co-op? So last year it worked well.
Yep.
And this is for a 2-year.
Yeah, 2 years, correct. So,
Yeah, for the remainder of the OSAA cycle.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 more years left on it.
Okay.
And that 2 years, does this year count as year 1, or is it 2 years after this one?
No, this would be year 1 and then
Okay, so
the following year.
that's what I said.
Yep, and something we had talked about is just leaving it open, even if, let's say, those kids did not participate next year, just having that opportunity to be on our team if they wanted to. So just, that's why we're doing it for the 2 years instead of last year was just the 1 year, and we gotta redo the application this year. So that way we wouldn't have to do it year after year.
Okay. And hopefully in a year you will update us if we don't have any participants from Adrian, or if we have more
Right,
from
for
Adrian.
sure.
This is an action item. Are there any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
Sorry, real quick, is there any insurance considerations for having kids from other schools on our team?
So I talked to Pace, which is our insurance company. They're both schools are covered by Pace, so it's kind of covering itself on it. So they said, you know, that's fine. They're both covered by us. It was just liability, release of liability to say, you know, if we're transferring those students and something were to happen, is that Adrian would be liable for it, even though Pace said it's kind of weird because we would be, either way we're paying for it, and so
There's 2 different policies. And
yeah.
They would put up a wall and treat it as though they're a separate insurance.
Exactly.
If it was a claim.
Yeah, because they would be primary, so, but yeah, so that would be the only thing on there that they saw on, like, let's say, transportation and shifting that liability, so.
Okay, so do we have something within the co-op agreement that says this is where the liability lies?
So that, and Pace is, Teresa Holstrom at Pace is getting that for us.
Perfect.
And so, yeah, we already have that in the works, so. We had to work through it, that was part of it, so, well, you could make your co-op, but anyway, it took us a while, but she's gonna get it to us, and if you guys decide to vote, approve it, then that'll get to them, that'll be our kind of final paperwork for that, so.
Should we go ahead and take a vote on this, or should we wait until we hear from Pace as far as that?
I think we can vote on it. I mean,
Okay.
really, as long as Pace is approving the document anyway, they're the ones
Yeah.
who will ultimately be
Okay.
paying no matter what, so. That's fine.
If there are no other questions, then, and I appreciate that question, that was great. Do I hear a motion on the co-op for baseball and softball with Adrian?
I move to approve the Adrian Co-op for baseball and softball for the next 2 years.
Do I hear a second? It's been moved by Dustin and seconded by Maribel to approve the Adrian the co-op for baseball and softball with Adrian. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. Superintendent Hawkins, the turf project.
Perfect, thank you, I appreciate it. So I will be presenting tonight a recommendation from what's called a turf committee to hire a design build to start looking at a design and of a turf project. And so we put out an RFP and we received 3 bids, and our committee got together and we looked at those 3 bids, both not only surface-wise, but also making a lot of reference calls, talking to community members. Mr. Melendez has been, and Mr. Deanna have been instrumental in really doing a lot of the background work for that. And I know some of the board members went and looked at some turf fields and talked to especially the field maintenance people. So based on that information and a rubric that we put out, we are presenting, we would like to offer the design aspect. Now, this is obviously, when they design it, they'll say, hey, this is what it's gonna cost based on your artwork. I mean, there's just a lot there. The survey, this is how much it's going to cost, and then we'll be at the build function of it. Now, at that point is, you know, we could say, hey, that's a lot, we wanna kind of go somewhere else with the build, or, you know, I mean, but it really gives us that information to continue forward. But we would, based on the rubrics of the committee, and I want to point that committee is myself, Christopher Rideau, Jesse Melendez, Josh Deanda, Lee Long, Luke Cleaver, and John Braze, and that we're going to recommend that the Wright Brothers Construction be awarded that design build contract, and they are a local company out of Eagle, and they just did the Emmett turf over there, and so what my proposal will be is to award them that design contract on it. So,
Do we have questions from Mr. Hawkins on the turf project? Okay, we did have there have been some questions that have come up about having a turf field. Some of those questions involve the use of that field and the track around the field. So can you address those?
So yeah, so one of them, this is a large investment by our community, and so it's our job to protect that investment. So we will limit the overall public use of that field. That means both the turf field and this is proposed, the track as well. And when I say limit, I mean it's just not open 24/7 at nights and weekends, whatever. Like, we just say kind of organizations and people we have a facility use to make sure that they're maintaining that field as well. And we want to bring as, I think one of the quotes was, one of the I think was it the Emmett person, like, we want to beat the crap out of it. We want our community to use this in the right way. And so we are going to shut that down for, kind of nights and weekends and mornings. But we do have alternatives for our community. Like, we have a couple football fields that they can use that are outside of that, right by the middle school, that they use for practice for high school and middle school. We have 2 walking paths. One is out where the soccer complex is, out the soccer baseball complex. We are also working to pave another walking path. If you kind of know where the elementary playground is right here, there will be a 1/4 mile all the way around. Or actually, our kids use it this year for their walking club. And so there will be an alternative path, a paved path all the way around, not halfway around, all the way around for our community to use at nights and weekends, which will be a nice place for everybody. And so we have more than adequate facilities for anybody if they want to use the school grounds for those activities. So this will not limit that.
And we also have the park that's actually being constructed right now,
Yep.
the walking path.
Yeah, there's that as well. And, so there's ample opportunities for our community. And I think it's important that we, like I said, we protect that investment. And I mean, this is going to be an amazing facility. The dream of it, making an amazing facility to really showcase how great we are here in this, and our kids deserve the best. And that's one of the things we're doing. So.
Susan and I went on a field trip with a group to see the fields at Emmett and see the field at Homedale. It was very impressive. It's nice to see that all the yard markers are there. They're not going to disappear, So even our youth football teams are going to be able to see when they're on the 30-yard line instead of, sort of looking around for where they're at. These fields would be, this field is an athletic field, and so it would be limited to athletic type things, football, soccer, and the Emmett and the Homedale field both have the lines made for soccer, the soccer outlines, in a different color than football. Homedale also had rugby marked, I believe, or lacrosse. Yeah. In different colors, so, if you're playing soccer, you play within the black lines. If you're playing rugby, it's, you know, a different color line. And I did check, rugby is about the same width as a soccer field. My son played rugby, so he gave me the lowdown. Susan asked about the longevity of the field, and you were told.
If I remember correctly, Jesse, they said after 15 years, they'd have to redo the padding or something?
Not the pad. The padding would be 20 years. After 10 to 12 years, you would have to redo the turf itself.
And can you talk a little bit about how much it costs right now just to keep up the grass and what some of the costs are and stuff?
For painting, we probably spend, just for the football field, around $2,000. And like Pat says, we could spend well over that if we were to stripe it any time youth programs were on it. But we don't, we just paint it, we stripe it when it's just a high school activity. Mowing, and the trimming probably takes us an hour a week. Our watering, 4 days a week for 12 hours. You know, the watering system starts in the evenings, and we do that for 5 months. It runs for 12 hours to water the field for 5 months, 12 hours a day. Excuse me, 4 days out of the week. How many times have you guys gone in the field and says, why is that so yellow over there? It's not a lack of water, it's just the grounds that we have under there, the type of grass that we have on the football field. So from a dollar standpoint, we spend a lot of time. You know, when we stripe the field, it takes 4 members, and it takes about 4.5 hours, sometimes a little bit longer to stripe it. We have to stripe it every time you mow it. You're taking some of that stripe over it.
You know, one of the things that both Susan and I were concerned about was the toughness of the turf. And we were told that the football team can actually practice on this field. So, you know, I'm sure our athletic director would make a rotating schedule so the high school could actually practice on the field, and the middle school, and, you know, adjust for our youth soccer and our football groups. So, you know.
As long as you maintain it, the idea is to really use it. It's not for cosmetic purposes. If we can put athletics 5 days a week, and Mr. Gannick can get that scheduled, by all means, let's use it as long as it's maintained correct.
And what is the upkeep? I mean, what do we have to do to keep it up? Or whatever?
Well, there's a machine, but as you recall, the gentleman in Emmett says they only did it once a year, and it was just a machine that you attach to a gator. It just kind of spins on there, combs the turf up.
The Homedale field, we were told, has been in use for 4 to 5 years. And, you know, we were concerned about how well it held up. It looks very bright and very new. The Emmett field is new, and, you know, they're very happy with it so far. Homedale's very happy with theirs. The maintenance people are thrilled because there is less maintenance to keep the field looking as it does. So, anyway, I personally had my doubts about a turf field, but after having seen, you know, how it's set up, my opinion has changed some. I still have a little research to do. Do you have anything to add, Susan?
You know, to add, you'll be able to charge at the gate, you know, when we have any event there. We have concession stands there, we have bathrooms, we have the grandstand, speakers, lights, scoreboard. So, you know, to do that over at the soccer complex, I think it was around $3.5 million when we started that project over there to put that, to make it kind of mirror the football field. Well, this is gonna be a lot less, and we'll be able to do it here at the football field.
It'll give us an equal opportunity to showcase all of our programs that are out there.
Do we have any other questions, comments on the turf? And that was basically the turf information was just an information item.
No, we need to
Oh, we
award the
need to
design
vote on
aspect
the,
to the proposal to award it to the Wright brothers.
Yes, okay, sorry. Do I hear a motion on the design proposal?
I make a motion that we award the design to the Wright brothers.
Do I hear a second on the proposal? I will second the proposal then. It's been moved by Susan and seconded by myself to award the design proposal for the turf field to the Wright brothers out of, you said they're out of
Eagle, yes.
out of Eagle, Idaho. All those in favor signify by raising their hand. All those opposed? Okay, the motion fails. Let's see, we'll now move on to the policy updates.
So this is the second reading of our policy updates from November end, so this is our second reading of those. There are a couple things on there that we just want to highlight that, based on the recommendation of OSBA, there are a couple of the policies that we want to revert back to our 2020 policies, and those are again based on those changes that we talked about with the executive orders, and so those are the ACAR, GBN, or I'm sorry, GBN, JBA-AR, and the JFE, and so so part of it is this is only our second reading for most of the policies. Those policies we need to vote today to revert back to our 2020 adopted policies to be more in line with the court ruling on that. We know that, like I said, they're in litigation on that, so to be in line with that right now. So those we do need to vote on tonight to revert those back, and the other ones are just the second reading.
Sorry, Ryan, JBN, JBA, AR1?
JBN, yeah, well, there's AR1, AR2, those ones, those are the ones, right? Is that correct, Megan?
We just have to revert back on the ACAR1.
Okay.
ACAR1, that's the only one we're reverting.
Yeah, and these ones we are adopting, is that correct? On that, taking them off?
Yeah, we're not looking for.
Yeah, so.
I'll make a motion that we'll revert the ACAR1 policy back to the 2020 language.
It's been moved by Dustin to revert back to the 2021 policy for ACAR1. Do I hear a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Jasmine. It's been moved by Dustin, second by Jasmine to revert policy ACAR1 back to the 2020 version. All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. That motion carries. Okay, and these others are all just second reading.
Yes.
So these others do not need to be voted on at this time. Correct?
Correct.
Then we have more reading to do, folks. The policies are a little intense.
But we do have this list, right? These ones we won't be adopting.
Correct. Correct. Megan was very gracious about making that list for us.
Yes, thank you.
Extremely appreciate that very much. The next item on the list then is the board report. We will be having a work session on March 3rd at 6 o'clock. The board scholarship. The board scholarship is now open for applications, and the application deadline will be April 4th by 5 o'clock. That will give our district time to go through those. So, anything else I need to add about that board scholarship? The applications are available where?
I will send them out tomorrow morning.
Okay. They're available through Megan. The other item on the list is a statement of the SEI, Statement of Economic Interest filing deadline. It opens on the 15th of March, and the deadline is tax day, April 15th. There are certain people who are required to fill that out, and our board members are required to fill that out. And that is available online, correct? Do we have any questions about that? Okay. I would like to add one last thing to my board report. I had several comments today commending our maintenance department on how nice it was to have a clean parking lot and safe sidewalks to walk on after the snow that we have had. So I truly appreciate that, and so do our patrons. So,
Did you want to say something?
I would, sorry, I was gonna wait till, I would ask if possibly you could reopen an agenda item, number 5D, public comments. There's a young man here today that I wasn't sure when he would have been invited to make a presentation.
could you state your name and?
Sure, my name's J.D. Bounds, and there's an Eagle Scout candidate that was hoping to make a couple of comments, but just wasn't sure where on the agenda was the appropriate time, and so I just had to be loudmouth and ask if possibly before moving to executive session, you might consider opening up the that public comment portion of the agenda again.
Yes, I believe we can take public comment.
Thank you. Are there any public comments? Thank you.
So, my name is Rory. I'm working on the Eagle project, and I was wondering if I was able to work on the sand pits. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take out the sand, take out the railroad ties, replace the sand. We'll put a 4-inch layer of road mix on the bottom, put sand, concrete border, and I'm hoping to get it done before track.
So is that shot put or long jump or is
Long
that
jump.
just long jump? I just want to make sure that, okay, that's excellent. Wow. Good project.
Two pits.
Huh?
There's two pits.
Two pits, yeah, but just, okay, both pits? Wow. Any questions for me? I have a bunch of questions, go ahead. If you guys have any.
Do you have
Is-
questions?
I don't know, Josh, is he got certain rules and regulations and stuff that he needs
We've
to?
all met with him.
Okay.
And you've met with him too, Jesse?
Yes.
Terrific. I appreciate a man who's done his homework and talked to all the right people. That says a lot for you.
I'm curious, how did you come up with this idea out of all options for an Eagle Scout project?
I got the idea from JD.
So my daughter has placed second in the triple jump 3 years in a row. And so this year she'll break the school record set by Deanne Waldo. And she'll win the state championship, but to get there.
Proper landing
Yeah.
area.
And Ike Walker is placed 8th and 7th respectively. He has 2 more years. And then we have a number of other triple jumpers and long jumpers on the team that are showing good potential.
And when would you start this project and when do you think we'd get it finished?
As soon as you guys approve of it.
Hey, thank you for being willing to do it. That's a great project.
Quick question for Jake, is this, so does the district financially buy all the stuff for it, or how does that work?
So, I do have a list of stuff.
Are these cost dollars?
So what are you projecting how much it would cost the district?
8,000.
Jesse, you already have money in the budget and everything?
Well, we're gonna put it together. Once you got it approved, I'm gonna help you put a little ledger together so we can figure out exactly what the cost is gonna be. From labor to materials.
Is it in the budget,
And then,
Crystal?
if you recall the Emmett, pit, the field that we're at, that's the idea of what we would like the sand pit to look like.
We do have 2 different accounts. We have our capital improvement fund within the general fund, and then we also have our Fund 440, which is separate from the general fund. So I don't see what you're looking at, but I couldn't imagine that we couldn't get it in our budget.
We just had some funds open up, so
Yeah,
there we go.
so.
We can invest that there.
Unless it's gonna be 15 million.
It's
That's a
pretty-
no.
It's pretty close.
No.
It's about 8,000.
Springboard, triple jump, body.
This would be a great project, it'd be a big improvement for us. And now I understand just why you were looking at that, all that dirt, sand, excuse me. We need motion on this item.
I don't think we need a motion on it, correct, Megan? We just approve it?
Or do we just need,
I mean, financially, you don't,
Yeah.
I don't think we need to
No.
make a motion if the dollar amount
But you
isn't.
could just show them that we.
Yes, you
support it.
could.
Do his Eagle Scout project. I
Yes.
make a motion that we support Rory's Eagle Scout project to improve the triple jump sand pit.
We're gonna
I'll
have
second
state champion.
Yes.
it's been moved and
Oh, two,
seconded.
yes, both.
Hopefully many more after this.
Yeah.
Thank you, it's approved. This is a great project. I'm looking forward to seeing the end result.
We should do a before and after picture.
Yes, please.
And come back to the board and present, okay?
Whenever you're done.
And show us how far you can jump with the current pick. And the one
Let's see if I so mathematically.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
I graduated.
Okay.
What's that?
Are there any other comments or requests before the board recesses for a few minutes and then moves into executive session?
I do, Pat, before you close that, I'm curious, just going back and revisiting the turf project. You were not on board before we went to the trip, but when we took you, it was an eye-opener and it changed your mind. So I'm curious to at least, when they said, does anybody have any questions? I would like to hear some questions from the ones that didn't go for it.
Do you talk to the rest of the teachers, principals about this project? Do they know what's going on?
I didn't physically go talk to them.
But they knew that you were going to change to turf instead of having the facility like that the way it's right now?
Well, I would hope that they would. I mean, everybody knew that was the idea.
Sure, so Jesse, I'll throw out my thoughts on it. So the proposal for the design is, I think, $110,000. And I think we need some more information on what the pros and cons of the turf would be. Admittedly, invited to go on the trip. I don't know where I was on that day, but anyway, didn't go. But I think we need something kind of written down of here's the pros and cons, and here's what the cost outlay is going to be long-term. Here's what grass is costing us, and this is all stuff we discussed in the work session just before this meeting. But anyway, we want to see what the cost is right now, what the actual dollars and cents are, and what the cost is going to be like. We know there's going to be a machine needed, but we don't know the cost of that machine. We know we water the field 4 days a week, but we don't know what the cost is. We know there's labor to maintain this field, but we don't know what that cost is. So we've got a $110,000 design and $1 million project. But at the end of the day, what's the return on investment? And I think that's what we're looking for. I don't think I'm personally saying this is absolutely not going to happen. I think it's just a matter of we need more information before we say, let's spend $110,000 to get a design.
I'll gladly provide that information for you guys.
Yeah, that'd be really
So what I'd
appreciated.
like to do is just not close the idea of not doing the field.
Right. No, I'm sorry if that's the impression given. I mean, at least from my perspective, I'm not totally closed-minded to it. I just need some more information before we spend that big chunk of money on a design.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
A little bit of my piece, I mean, I heard who was part of the committee. I didn't hear any student names on the committee, or not names specifically, but how are the students represented? Or can you bring some students? Do they want to be, yes,
I'm gonna cut you off right there, because we
And I
could just
came
get
in
our whole
late.
soccer student athletes in here. Jasmine, as somebody that had a athlete, right, one of your kids, this is something Susie and I talked about on our trip, right? For senior night, could you hear me when we did the senior night presentation for your son? Okay, so just the equity piece in terms of our kids don't have grandstands, right? We already talked about this, grandstands, bathrooms, concessions, etc. Right? So just from an equity standpoint, in terms of providing an equitable location for our kids with something that's already in place, rather than spending the $3.2 million or whatever it is to build a facility. So here's the thing: if we're going to keep soccer, right, and we're serious about it, my perspective is then let's invest in it and provide a location where our kids and student athletes can be successful. So where they're currently at, right, is not ideal. And so if we're going to keep it and try to be serious about soccer, football, whatever else we use on that field, stadium, then we got to invest in it. So that is one thought I was talking about just with my wife back here was I'm sure I could round up some soccer student athletes, and they'll gladly join me in this boardroom. So,
Even football players.
Yeah, and I'm not against it, because like I was telling Mr. Hawkins, I would rather play here in the winter than travel all the way to Portland where we had to travel for soccer. I'm okay with that. It's just like Justin was saying, okay, let's do it, but you're gonna spend that much money in just a project, but just let us know, like they were saying, good things, bad things, and let's figure it out.
And I think to say coaches or principals or who's, et cetera, didn't know, I've talked to both football and soccer coaches, and at least in my conversations, they were supportive and liked the idea. So, not sure where that came from, but I mean, I've done my homework with the majority of my coaches and my building principals, and it so far it's been supportive.
So what I'm hearing, I just want to make sure I sum this up, is it is a, right now a no, because you guys are requesting more information. It's
Yes.
information that you're actually going to give me to present to the board, correct? And so in order to make an informed decision, that's what you guys need to do,
Yes.
right? So you guys will provide
We
that to
don't,
the group?
yeah, we're not shutting it down, we just need that information to be,
This is what this proposal is, or this approval process is. We're gonna spend this much money. We're not saying that we're gonna put the turf in, so what they're gonna do is put all the bells and whistles and say, this is what your end cost is gonna be. Then we present it to the board and say, what do we need to do to reduce the cost from 1.5 million to 800,000? We'll take this away, we don't really need this, we don't really need this. Just because we approve this process has nothing to do with approving an actual turf being installed. So this part of the process is to help gather that information.
But if this was a $5,000 or $10,000 process, that's great, but $110,000, that's a lot of money for a. I want us to be more committed to, let's push forward with the project when this is 10% of the cost already. So, you know, and I think something that Mr. Deanda brought up is great. Yes, let's get a field put together for all the kids to play on. I think that's good. And then Jesse, I think you mentioned there's gonna be a gate cut for even soccer games that isn't there already.
Concessions.
And the concessions, right. And so I think we just need to see, what does that look like? What is the actual financial impact before we spend $110,000? I mean, $5,000 to put some stuff together, great. $110,000, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I just want to make sure we're spending our dollars good. And so if we can just get some, not just a pro and con analysis, but here's the actual financial impact to the district. As long as we look at it and say, all right, this isn't going to make us lose $50,000 a year, great. Then let's go to this next huge step of spending $110,000 to get the rest of the numbers and start really putting it together. I think we're on the right track. I mean, we want to improve the facilities. We want it to be a better area, just need a little bit more info.
I really wish that we'd all been able to go on that field trip, because a lot of these questions would have come up then, and, you know, we could have shared more. But, you know, to actually see some of these things and to be able to ask the people there that we talked to, some of these questions would have been helpful. Perhaps we need to have another, get the information together and have another work session and have Josh and Jesse and perhaps the committee speak to us.
I propose that we take another field trip and we'll take a half a dozen or however many soccer players or football players want to go, so they can walk on the turf. They might have questions that we didn't think of. The process of this is we have to get, if we want a turf football field by next start of next season, we would have to get this approved sooner than later.
So we're facing.
You told me to give you that information in a week, then I'll provide that information for you guys.
So we're pushing a deadline is what you're saying. We need to, in order to order the materials. So know, the board needs to decide, do we want to have a special meeting in a week? What's your deadline for having approval or non-approval of the project?
Tomorrow.
He didn't give me a specific date, but he says.
Well, like, I mean, you know, can you get the material to us and we meet,
What, even if it goes on our March meeting, is that too late?
Yes.
yes, we need to get the turf. I mean, those projects take over
Did I get that information next Monday?
Next Monday is President's Day. Are you folks willing to meet on
Tuesday?
that time for a work session? I know that's tough for you, Ryan.
Yep, I'll be, if you tell me when to be here, I'll be.
So a quick tally of the board. We would like to have more information. This is a big project.
It is a big project.
And it can make a world of difference, I think, for our community and our students, our student athletes. I mean, all our student athletes, soccer kids can play on this field, as well as our, you know, our football teams.
Boys and girls.
You know, and our rugby team. It'd be nice to have rugby. So,
And if we meet on Monday, perhaps even Monday, take a bus. I'll drive a bus over to the field, fill it up with students and parents around go.
what is sports board?
So Monday at 6, is that what I'm hearing for a study session?
And then if he wants to take people over earlier,
I'm okay with just having the information. It's fine. My son play already in her field. I know how he's gonna get her, or how he's gonna do whatever. I'm fine with that. I just want the information to see what's the difference.
And so those questions you will get to myself and Jesse timely that you have
by Wednesday.
by Wednesday, hopefully, that we can get that together for you Monday. Is that possible?
Yes.
I mean, the question is, what's the financial impact? What's the bottom line?
Yeah. So we can have that ready to go.
And Jesse seems to have most of those figures, so plus,
Jesse, do you have an idea of what that bottom line figure is?
For the actual entire project?
Well, no, not for the entire project. What's it gonna cost long-term? So, I mean, Mr. Hawkins has let us know it's gonna be somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million. It's a big project.
Correct.
You know, give or take some, we get that, but long-term, what's our cost?
as far as,
'Cause-
you're looking at maintenance for, I mean, you
Right.
know, if we have to replace,
Well, maintenance is the biggest question. So, you mentioned a machine that attaches to the gator. Do you know what that's gonna cost?
Ballpark figure, 2,500.
Okay, so we're not talking about a $75,000 piece of machinery we're gonna have to buy. Okay. And then, you know, maintenance, you said there's not a lot to it. You fluff it once a year. But what do we save on maintenance? Because you mentioned right now we've got $2,000 in redoing lines. We've got the water. There's obviously some other maintenance costs. What does it cost right now to maintain this field? Is it $10,000 a year, $15,000 a year? Versus what's it gonna cost to maintain the turf field over its 10-year life before we have to replace that turf mat? I think that's what we're looking for.
Okay, and I'll be able to provide that.
Okay, cool.
so, and you also might consider the fact that we would be able to have soccer games on that field,
Right.
right? And
To be able to practice. on
Crystal,
the
how
field.
much does a football game, like what's the game on an average?
I mean, it depends on who we're playing.
But I mean, well, so if we would bring in $1,000 every soccer game as a game.
That's just in Gates, we got concessions.
Yeah, with soccer, I'm paying $200 to $300 a day
need to keep in consideration that our current football field, there are restrooms there, there's a concession stand there. If we set up our own soccer field in another area, we would have to have restrooms and possibly a concession, but at least restrooms availability. So, you know, these are things to look at, and I'm sure that the committee looked at some of those things. So, you know, maybe some of that information that was presented to your committee, the committee could present to us or could share with us. And it would be nice to have a few comments from a few student reps.
And I'm like super visual, and so I'm sorry, I'm like looking how, so a visual, I know there's a picture somewhere, oh, there it is. Even like dotted lines and how it's gonna be like closed off, that would help me, because you talk about facilities and concessions, like, is everything gonna be jazzed up or just enclosed?
We're just locking the gates that are already there. We have gates already on the track, we just have to lock it and limit use. Mr. Hawkins says you have to fill out a facilities request. We're not saying nobody can use it, but there's got to be rules and policies that we write up and everybody follow.
Oh, okay, so everything's just gonna be closed off and stay in place?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that picture that you're looking at, that grass is coming out and we're just gonna fill it with turf.
Cool.
That's gonna be blue? White.
That's more
money. That's gonna be white.
The board is particularly interested in donning. I mean, okay, because, I mean, you know, you've done athletics, you guys have done athletics.
I can honestly say that I wasn't sold until I went and saw them and talked to Jesse about the maintenance.
Well, yeah, because it was nice to talk to the maintenance people there. They were very honest, I thought, with their evaluations and such. So, but, you know, our board would like additional information. If you can provide it for us, Jesse, great. And, you know, I would like to know a little bit more of what, of the committee, if the committee had concerns. So.
Well, the committee's main function was to review bids and kind of call around companies and those things as
But they're
far
also
as-
coaches.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm sure they've thought about a few things.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, as Jasmine said, it'd be nice to hear from a couple of students. I mean, I talked to my son who's played football and rugby on both turf and grass, and, you know, he gave me his assessment. So, you know, and that has a lot to do with my thinking. Plus, I remember quite vividly having to go clear over to Hillsborough to play Vale in a state playoff game because it had to be done on a turf field. So that stands out in my mind. So.
Is that a question?
No, I just kind of wanted to add something. So I actually live in Homedale, and so we went through the whole process and we got the turf over there. There were multiple things as a community that we really benefited from. So of course it's right off the river, right? But there was a decrease. We didn't have like the water where we had the potholes where the kids were getting their ankles hurt as much, knees hurt as much. Mosquitoes weren't as much of a thing. They weren't having to spray as much with chemicals in there to keep all that down. So we love the turf over there. It's great, and they do have state games every single year over there. So it was a big investment for the community, but it's gone really well, very well.
And your field is mounded, which was a nice, I thought that was very nice. I've seen that over on the west side, haven't So your drainage was much better, and I can understand, 'cause you are right next to the river.
Yeah, right next to the river. Yeah, there's the river park and then going to the field, but yeah, he's, Will Poultry is the principal over there, but also the coach, and it was a big undertaking and it was a lot to be considered to have that happen, but it's been a really good thing for Homedale. Both my kids graduated out of Homedale and yeah, we kind of love the turf over there.
I appreciate what you have to say. If there are any other comments,
So we're gonna meet next Monday at 6.
so we will meet next Monday at 6, and Jesse and Jesse and Josh will get all of the information together. And is there anything else we wanted to ask on the turf thing? Or we'll get our questions to Jesse, okay, by Wednesday. Or to Josh. So, because they're going to be our main speakers on this. Do we have any other items to discuss or to bring up? In that case, we will recess from our regular meeting for 5 minutes and meet back in executive session for the super.